So, Ian, have you ever hated yourself?
Freak, yes. Haven't we all?
Yeah, for sure.
God damn.
But is there like a specific memory that comes to mind?
I think the first memory that I had of when I started to like realize that I hated myself
Oh, God.
was when I was in middle school.
Dun, dun, dun. Isn't that how it is for everyone?
I think so. I think when you're in middle school, your brain isn't developed and you're kind of just like, oh, the world sucks. But it was in middle school when I started to really not like myself. And I think it really had to do with how much of a terrible relationship I had with our parents.
Do you have like a specific memory?
Yeah, man, so many. so many. I would say the number one thing though is that like I remember so many times when I would say something and our parents would not believe me. Like I would say like, hey guys, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. Please let me watch this like episode of How I Met Your Mother. I don't know when
In middle school.
I don't know if it was in middle school, but it was like, please let me watch this. I will wake up, and they're like, no, I don't believe you. Would I wake up the next morning? No, I wouldn't.
Damn, okay.
It would also just be like little things where I'd be like, yeah, don't worry guys. I'll like, you know, like the chicken, I'll thaw that so that by the time you guys get home, like, yeah, we can cook that. Did I do? No, I didn't.
So like they had a reason to think of you as unreliable.
No, yeah, because that's why I hate myself. Like, that's why I started to like not like myself. I think it just became super annoying because it was like, damn, they don't believe me for anything.
That's so interesting to hear, especially as your younger sibling, because I feel like, I don't know, our parents will like randomly bring up to me like, oh, I love Ian. He's so reliable. He's so trustworthy. He always does what he says he's gonna do. So like to hear you have that as an insecurity, or not an insecurity, but something that like made you hate yourself is like crazy. It's like a complete 180 from how our parents describe you now.
I think at some point, like, you just get tired of having that as your identity. And I think for a while, I started to really, really dislike and hate myself because I felt like I dug myself in a hole and I really wanted to change. But it was so tiring to like feel like I couldn't change because everyone around me felt that I was a specific way. And yeah, it was a lot.
Damn, I'm so sorry to hear.
It was like a, you know, like right now I think it's funny because like we can look back at it and be like, haha, like middle school Ian. But then when you're in middle school, you're
everything's intense.
You're like, fuck, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you also don't want to curse. So you're just kind of
Yeah.
just like, I just remember like moments in my bathroom. I would like lock myself and I would like do one of those like silent screams. And I'd be crying, looking at myself in the mirror with tears rolling down my cheeks and being like, I hate it. You're like, so I hate
funny.
myself. And then, but the thing is, like, you don't want anyone in the house to know. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
kind of just super quiet, and it's just
You
like
can't even slam the door.
Yeah,
You
it's
like have
just-
to like hold it, close it softly.
yeah. And I just remember like fist clenched, looking in the mirror and being like, but like silently.
I think I felt the same way in middle school, but for me, I think what comes to mind when I think of like hating myself was probably a couple years ago when I had started college for the first time. And I feel like in high school, or your last year of high school, I feel like a lot of people were hyping it up to be like, whoa, this is our coming of age moment. These are the years we're going to remember for our whole life. Like, these are the moments we won't forget. And I think now, as we're filming this, like, I keep seeing like all these videos on YouTube about like, here's my high school senior sign off, and I'm like, is it that serious? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's maybe it's because I'm just a little older than them and they'll probably learn this too. But like, it's really not that serious because it's just one part of your life.
But the thing is, like, when you're in that part of your life, you're like, guys, like, I'm growing up. This is my senior year of high school. Like, my world is about to change. And I just remember, like, I think it's funny because, like, I was at the Getty Center the other day and this girl was yapping about, like, what was happening in her high school. And it was, like, so incredibly goofy because, like, she was just talking about how high school was her world. And I'm like, okay, for her, yeah. But then for like me, who's overhearing, and then the two adults that were with her, I'm like, girl, like we all, like I feel like we're all thinking the same thing. It's like, high school ain't nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, at the moment, it feels like everything to you because it's probably the most exciting thing you've had or experienced in that point of your life. So going back to what I was saying, like, I feel like before I started college, I was like, oh my God, this is it. My life's gonna change. I'm gonna have independence. I'm gonna have new friends and blah, 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 blah. But I decided to go to my local community college. So when I started community college, I thought like, oh, or I instantly felt like, oh, nothing's changed. I'm kind of insecure about the fact that nothing in my life is that exciting anymore. And I kind of hate myself because if only I had done like better in my college applications, wrote better essays, taken harder classes, like I had all these regrets all of a sudden for like everything I did in high school. And I was like, if only I just had made better choices. I wish I could just start over. And I wish I wasn't the person I was right now, because the person I am right now just got into community college and is just like having the slowest, boringest life ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that the most recent kind of like self-hate that you've encountered then?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think like the college one kind of died down quickly. Like I adapted pretty fast. But the one I'm currently battling with is sometimes I'll feel a lot of self-hate for the fact that I'm not emotionally mature as my other friends, because I'm friends with a lot of older people. I mean, my best friend's like 5 years older than me, Ian.
That's
and
me.
Like sometimes we'll have conversations where I do something that's not very emotionally mature. Like this one time, Ian was talking to me about his crush. And for me, like I have a very toxic view of crushes. I feel like sometimes I try to girl boss my way out of having a crush. I'm like, who needs a man? Who needs a crush? So like Ian was telling me about his crush and I was like, you know what, Ian? You don't need a crush. Like you shouldn't even think about them. Like you're better than that. And he was like, you're ruining the vibe. And I was like, oh, okay. And like he just said that as a healthy thing to do, but like I literally sat with that for a month. I went to therapy, spoke about it with my therapist, and I was like, I feel like something's wrong with me, you know? Like I'm not a good friend. And if I'm not a good friend and if I'm not emotionally mature, like I just hate myself. I just hate everything about myself. I wish I could just like be born older, a couple years older, so I already had the emotional maturity that Ian does, that like all my other friends have. And sometimes I just like hate myself for being emotionally immature, like not having that like I guess foresight when it comes to like conversations or like how to articulate your emotions.
Yeah. Maybe I should have said it in a nicer way when I said that. But I think what I was saying was that I was just like, because I was like excited about a crush, right?
Yeah.
And I think your reaction was like, no, don't have a crush. I'm like, oh, but like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I totally agree. Like, I don't think you said it harsh at all. It was like super honest, but I was just like, I had to like think about it and I'm like, I should have known that. Like, I should have freaking known that. I think I was just hating myself because I was like, I just had the expectation that like, if Ian knew, and if like, I feel like everyone knows when you had called me out on it, I was like, it's like something everyone knows that like, you shouldn't say that. Like, why did I say that?
Yeah. A lot of like self-critical energy for sure. And I think what's funny is that like, I feel like everyone goes through this in life. You know, like everyone has this feeling that they want to start over, that they want to like throw everything out and just be like, you know what, I'm a new person. Like, fuck. I'm like debating. I'm like, should we cuss at this? But whatever. It's like, fuck my old self. Like, I'm just gonna like be someone different. And I think like everyone wants to start over, but it's not always in this extreme case of like hating yourself the way that we've described. But in the extreme cases, this is definitely how it feels like. And sometimes you'll dislike your current identity so much that you just want to like start new.
So what better way to start our new season talking about identity than talking about wanting to start over?
Hell yeah. Hey
Yeah.
guys, welcome back to Fantastic. I am your co-host, Ian Solano.
And I'm your other co-host, Joey Solano. This season is all about identity, who we are, who we've been, who we want to be, and everything in between.
We exist to create a space on the internet to learn about how to become better people together.
For clarity purposes, every time we mention the word identity, we're referring to the ways we define ourselves and who you are. You get it? You get it.
Capiche. Today we're talking about starting over because we figured what better way to start the season than talking about the feeling that you get when you want to blow everything up and just start all over.
Yeah, and I think recently we kind of felt this way of like wanting to start over because we went to a recent trip, creator camp at Film Fest in Austin, and there it was like we met a bunch of creators, people we admire, made new friends and all of that stuff. And I was like, I don't know. I think we were hit with so much creative inspiration. We're like, holy shit, we have to fucking lock in and we have to like actually like wake the fuck up, bro. Like I felt like we had a burst of like, we need to change our identity.
Yeah, it was like we have all this momentum. Now we have to keep using it. And I think like when we got there, like Joey and I started this podcast because we enjoy doing this. Like we genuinely have a lot of fun recording these and like thinking about them and researching them. But when we went there, we were like, whoa. These guys are like crazy talented, but also realizing that they're just regular people. And so you're just like, no, these guys are talented, but they're just very hardworking individuals. And that's how they got to where they are today. And I remember thinking, damn, like something needs to change. So guys, obviously I shaved my head. Oh my fucking God. Did you see this?
Oh, wow. That's like hair.
This is so goofy. In the back, it's like... Oh my God. Wait, this might be the stupid.
Whoa, it's so short. You look like a chestnut. Have so much hair.
It's a lot. It's so short. So yeah, that just happened. I'm currently looking at myself. I remember I took a shower right after, and I was like, wow, I did that. And I was like, oh, I really just shaved off my head. It's like a very light buzz cut, so it's not like bald, but still, it's giving. Oh my God, if it was like bald.
It's giving like book to Aang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's giving book to Aang. What a great way to describe it. Yeah.
But yeah, I think like looking at you, I'm like, whoa, something has changed. And now I like, obviously when you look in the mirror every day, you'll notice this change. But like for me, it's like every time we work on this podcast, I'll like face you. I'm like, oh my God, something has changed. Like,
yeah, and I think it's like those moments where it's like you just want to change your outer self. But also like this was a certain burst of kind of like, maybe it was like manic inspiration of me being like, you know what, I want to change this part about myself, because it's a very low stakes thing, you know, but it's also like a reflection of like the different person that I want to be inside.
Mm-hmm. I do feel like when people like talk about wanting to change or like have a new identity, it usually gets like a bad rep. Like, I don't know. I think people are kind of like negative of like, oh my God, she got bangs. Literally, she's going through something. You know?
For real.
Thing. Like, no offense. Even though like usually they're honestly like for you, like you going through this change, maybe someone might look at it and like, uh-oh, what happened to Ian? But like for you, it's like no, this is like a good moment. Like I'm changing. I'm having positive change.
So I think like, again, going back to the whole like when you're trying to express your emotions, hating yourself is evidence that you love yourself. And we wanted to talk about a couple of examples where emotions that might seem negative actually mean that they're a good thing.
Yeah, that like negative emotions actually can show you
they
that
point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like let's just get into it. Let's just get into it.
Here's some that we had down. Okay, number one, I was thinking like anger. I feel like when you're angry at like something, which is usually like your circumstance or how someone has treated you, it's because you want something better, or you know you deserve something better. It's like, why am I freaking being mistreated? Well, you're angry because you know you can be treated better. Duh.
Right.
Like you have a higher standard for yourself.
Exactly. The second thing we have is jealousy.
Ooh.
When you desire something that someone else has, yes, sometimes people think that like jealousy is bad, but also when you feel jealous towards something, it's only bad if you act on it. But jealousy is a great signal to be like, oh, that's what I want, right?
Yeah.
And like, let's say if it also goes the other way too. If you're not jealous about something, then you know that you don't want it. And I mean, it sounds so basic, but also like it's important to know that a lot of these emotions are not bad. They're just like pointing you to a specific direction and trying to give you more insight about what you want in your life.
Yeah, okay. And you know how I mentioned earlier that like I have a kind of girl bossy negative way of looking at crushes? I also feel like crushes are one of those emotions or like one of those feelings that you get where like they're actually not bad at all. Like sometimes when you have a crush, it's because you admire, you're like drawn to certain things from that person. Like,
No, for real.
oh my god, like, wow, I have a crush on that like beautiful person, and it's probably because they just radiate like an energy that you want to radiate. So then there you're like, oh, I want to give that type of vibe.
I have a specific type of person that I have crushes on.
Oh?
And usually it's because they have a really good fashion sense.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I see.
Like, I don't know if you recognize this pattern, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the people that I have crushes on are like people that have the qualities that I don't have yet, that I really want in myself.
Wait, that's such a good point. Yes, I am like running back through like your past questions.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh my god, okay, yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, they just dress really well. And it's like something that I don't know, fashion has always been hard for me, I suppose, but something I'm working on. And so like it just points you in the right direction. The next thing that we have is anxiety. When there's something uncertain or important to you, then you typically have anxiety towards it. And so like, let's say if you're doing a speech, right? In this case, let's say if we're doing this podcast and I feel anxious right before, it just means that this is something that's important to me. It's something that I care about deeply, and it's something that I should lean into.
And another one we had was sadness. I feel like when you feel sad, it's because you feel like you're missing something or your needs aren't being met, and you're recognizing that that's something important to you. I think one example is like, sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't need to be like recognized for this accomplishment, and then no one recognizes my accomplishment, and then I suddenly feel sad, and I'm like, oh, I guess that was important to me.
Yeah.
You know, and it points you to the things that really matter to you.
And the last one that we have here is guilt. I actually think that this is one of my favorite ones because when you feel guilt, it gives you a good indication of what your values are. Typically, you feel guilty about something because you feel as if you have broken some sense of values or beliefs that you currently hold. So if you feel guilty about cheating, yes, okay, for sure, you cheated. That's not good.
Whack.
Whack. Hashtag someone call the police. But it also shows that like you have those standards within yourselves to be like, I feel bad because I know that this is bad. It would be different if like, let's say you're being mean to someone and you feel no sense of remorse, then it's like, oh, then you're just a monster.
Yeah.
But if you're mean to someone and you feel guilty, you know that you can be better, and you also know that your values are at a higher standard.
Yeah, so it seems like actually having all of these feelings are a way, like, they're looking out for you, you know? They're shaking you. They're like, Joey, you deserve better. Or, I know you deserve better. I know this doesn't align with how you actually want to be. Ah.
Yeah. And I think going back to the whole idea of like wanting to start over, hating your freaking guts.
Hate.
It's like a good thing. It's like, well, not hating yourself, but it's like a good start in the sense of like, you don't like yourself right now, because also in the back of your mind, in your heart of hearts, you love yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you know that there is better for you, and so you want to start over. But starting over isn't always the best thing.
Yeah, it's not. I feel like we always automatically jump to like, I need a clean slate. Like the same way when you wake up one day and you're just like, you know what? All of a sudden I'm going to get a new notebook and I'm going to like start fresh. I'm going to decorate my room and I'm going to just like, yeah, I'm a new person. I feel like that is the wrong way to think of your identity or just like having change in general. Here's like an analogy I was thinking of, like a cake, right? When you're baking a cake and you have like rotten eggs and you use the rotten eggs in the cake, now you're like, ew, I don't want to freaking eat that cake. That's freaking disgusting. Oh my god, what the heck? Why would you give me such a disgusting cake? No.
Okay. Go off.
Okay, yeah. But like, you shouldn't think of your identity like that. I feel like you should think of it like a refrigerator where you can like take ingredients you don't want out of there, take things that you don't like about yourself, exchange them with new things, and then also like upgrade the things that you like.
Okay, you're kind of losing me, but I get what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying that like with a refrigerator, it's like something that you can exchange, right? Like you can take out the eggs if you don't like the eggs. They're not baked into the refrigerator. That thing you can change. If let's say you like oat milk, and that, you know, oat milk is a metaphor for kindness.
Yeah.
And you want more of that in your life, you can buy more oat milk, guys.
Yeah,
like
you can be more kind.
you can be kinder. You know what
it's
I mean?
more flexible. I guess like
Right.
my fridge analogy is more like your identity is flexible and you can like actually improve, and it's always changing. Instead of like being a cake, once you're baked, you're kind of done.
Right. It's like as a cake, you feel like you're a finished, fixed product and it's like rigid. But when you're a refrigerator, you're always changing. You could always upgrade, and there is no end state because you're always adapting to what needs you have at the moment. When you think of your life as a cake and starting over, you aren't really working through your problems. Instead of starting over, I think maybe the best way for us to describe it is evolving. Evolving implies that there is the before, current state, and a future state, and that there's a narrative that ties it all together. I think that thinking about your life in terms of evolution doesn't neglect your past the way that starting over kind of feels like it does. And I think that it really gives your past self the respect and the acceptance that it needs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think like, say for example, a butterfly, I feel like butterflies don't go, I can't believe I was a caterpillar once. They go, no, I had to be a caterpillar, and being a caterpillar is part of the evolution to me being a beautiful butterfly now. And I think another example would probably be, instead of viewing our life as a new book each time we want to start over, it's like, oh no, we're just doing a new chapter. We're just adding a new chapter to our lives instead of it, or to our story, instead of it just being like, throw away that whole book, throw it away. I'm starting fresh and I'm writing a whole new book for myself.
Yeah, and I think when we were doing research on this, we found this idea of like narrative identity. And it was this idea that like we all create an internal evolving story of who we are, and it kind of weaves together our past, our values, and our hopes for the future. It gives us a sense of our lives and helps us stay sane in how we continue to change over time. And I think like this is really good, instead of like seeing yourself as like a baked cake and instead of as like a refrigerator, because then when it's a narrative story, it helps you see your life as one that's in progress, one that you can always edit, that you could always expand, and one that you could always reinterpret as you continue to evolve. This podcast is brought to you by us, Ian and Joie. We don't have any sponsors yet, but if you would like to support the show, consider joining our Patreon. It's free. There we'll post bonus content like extra episodes and journal entries.
Speaking of journal entries, this week's journal entry is, in this state of your life, how do you want to evolve? What are you taking with you, and what are you leaving behind?
Ooh, great questions. If you would like to see our journal entries, please join our Patreon. The link is in the description. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at _fantastic_, and our YouTube at Ian_Joie. Now back to the show. Okay, so now that we've cleared that up, how do we evolve? How do we change our identity?
Well, I feel like evolving takes two things: action and intention. Yeah.
Okay, but then it's like it's giving like chicken and egg energy. You know what I mean?
Like which one's first?
Yeah.
Like, are your actions the thing that inform your identity, or is it the thing in your head that you're thinking? Is that like your intentions informing your identity first?
Okay, in 3, we'll say which one we think. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Both.
Okay. Okay. I literally was like, if this guy says something else other than both, I'm actually gonna be so shocked.
Yeah. Going back to my story from my middle school self is that like, yes, I wanted to be a different person, but I also was acting differently. So both needed to align. And I think eventually I got to a point where I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to be someone that you can trust at my parents. I was like, whatever I say, I will do it. If I say I'm going to wake up, I'm going to wake up. And I remember just like these intentional moments where I was like, I will do those things. Like, you can trust me. You want me to thaw that chicken? I will thaw it as soon as you text me.
He's a chicken thar.
I'm a chicken thar. You know what I'm saying? So like, it really took both in order for me to change my identity. And eventually, I would say that my parents trusted me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. No,
they They for sure trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you could only be trustworthy, or you only started being trustworthy once you had like committed to saying it. You had that intention of being a chicken thar.
Yeah.
And now you were trustworthy. For me personally, I feel like ever since I was young, I've always been into like drawing, creating art, but I would never claim myself as an artist. I'm just like someone who likes to draw. I'm someone who likes to scrapbook. I'm someone who likes calligraphy. Like I had all these like artistic hobbies, but I would never even dare to attach myself to the title of an artist. And I think I had been creating art for like many years until one day I was like showing Ian my stuff and he's like, "You're an artist." And I remember after he had said that, I was like, I don't know, something had changed inside me. I was like, whoa, looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I am an artist. Heck yeah, I am. And I think hearing that title from someone else made me like feel more proud and made me want to claim that title. And like now, after that point, I feel like all my actions started aligning with the idea of being an artist. Like now my intention was like, oh, I am an artist, so I will do artist things. Now that I'm an artist, I will continue to draw and I will put my 100% self in it. And I became more motivated to like claim the title of an artist. So I feel like setting your intention when it comes to creating your identity is really important because it ultimately gives you permission to do the thing you want to do, to be the thing you want to be.
Yeah, but I would also say that it's like freaking hard.
Yeah, because oh my god, bro, it feels like a lie.
Yeah, it feels like the first time that you say like your new intention, it's a complete bullshit. Like
the gym, like
no,
saying
bro.
like, oh, I'm someone who exercises.
It's like, did you exercise yesterday? It's like, no, I didn't. Did you exercise last week? No, I didn't. But did I exercise? Am I gonna exercise right now? Like right now, am I gonna exercise? Yeah, And so like the next day too, when you start thinking about like who you are as your identity, and if you're identifying as someone who exercises, then it's hard because like you have this track record of you not doing the thing. And so like at first it might feel like a lie, but like if you know it within you that this is who you are now and your actions are following, eventually it won't feel like a lie. Eventually you'll be like, yeah, I am someone that goes to exercise 3 times a week. I am someone who writes. Even if I haven't been writing my whole life, I am a writer now.
Yeah.
I am an artist now, and like so long as your actions follow your intentions and vice versa, then it'll work.
Yeah, and I think you definitely can't have one without the other. Because like if you are just like saying the thing and then you don't have the actions to back it up, then you do feel like well, if someone hears you, they're like, okay. So you have to have the action behind it. But on the other way, like if you have the action but no intention, well, you don't even know what you're doing. I feel like you're kind of lost in your identity and you're not really sure where you're going. So you do need both to like actually have the change in your identity. You need the action and the intention.
Yeah, you need both. I think like talking about this though, like it's easier said than done 1000%, right? But like actively trying to seek change within yourself, especially when it comes down to like something as deep as like your identity, feels freaking impossible. It's like super duper hard. I know for a fact that like when I was in middle school, it was extremely hard for me to like get over that kind of like notion that I was like someone who you couldn't trust. Mm-hmm. Right. But now I'm like, yes, it was impossible then, but it's like possible for sure because now I'm like, no, you can trust my word. That is like foundational to my identity.
Yeah, for sure. And I think going back to like me in my earlier years of college, like it took me a year to like actually fulfill, I guess, like the things I wanted to do. Like I started actually being more social, but that I had to force myself to be social. I couldn't just accept the small town college I was in.
Yeah, yeehaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, but I think seeking change and like the idea of how it's really hard but not impossible reminds me of the story about the art department tree.
Ooh, okay.
For some context, I work in my college's art department, and about a year ago, this was the first time I started working, and my boss was just going through all the tasks I had to do, so, like, organize school supplies, like, clean the rooms, but there was this one particular task that caught my eye, where he was like, Joey, you're gonna have to water this tree every single week. And I was like, okay, where's the tree? So he takes me out in this like deserted area and he shows me this stick on the floor. Like I am telling you, he was like, this is the tree. And I'm like, that is literally, you were
a liar, man.
My boss is actually a liar. He literally stuck a stick in the like dry ass like soil. And he's like, this is the tree you're watering every week. Obviously it was an actual tree. I'm not saying my boss is an actual liar. But I was like looking at that tree and I'm like, there is no point in me watering this. Like I actually like don't want to do this because there's no point.
Yeah. And it was like, I think the way that you described it the first time to me was that like you would water it, but like the water wouldn't even go down.
Yeah, like it was so dry.
It was so dry.
Yeah. And like it literally, you know when things are really dry that it looks kind of like ashy or white around it? Like that's how it looked outside of like the stick part. And I was just like, this is crazy. Why am I doing this? But you know, it's my job. So I like would water it every single week, you know, watch the soil or watch the water not absorb into the soil. But a couple weeks ago, I recently like decided, you know, let me just look up. And I was like looking up because the sky was beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, look at those leaves. And those leaves were freaking from the stick. They were from the tree. And I remember being so surprised. I was like even telling my coworker, I'm like, oh my God, look, literally the tree grew like leaves. She's like, bro, they've been growing leaves. Like, have you never noticed? And I guess like what I'm trying to say is that I think that like the tree growing leaves would have never happened if I didn't have the intention and action of actually doing the motion of growing that tree, you know? If I wasn't told to like actually grow the tree and like take care of it, then it would have just still become the sad stick it was.
Yeah, and then like you know, it took you watering that every single week and you not seeing any freaking results. None.
Yeah, to one day actually see it like make progress.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when we think of our identity, it's like internal, so no one really notices that change. But I think there's one day where someone will notice you, like how you said you're an artist, and I was like, I am an artist, you know, where like someone notices that your identity has changed and you'll feel really good inside.
It's definitely a worthy uphill battle to do, because it's like everyone has this feeling inside of them that we do where it's like, I want to be a better person. I want to be like the better version of who I am. And that's kind of like the whole vibe of this podcast, is that like our audience, we call them tryhards. We call ourselves tryhards because it's like, it's so fun to try. And we know that, one, we're not perfect. And we also don't expect anyone listening to be perfect. But that's nice because when you know that no one is perfect, it gives you the permission to try your best regardless. Because you know that if you fail, that it's totally fine. Because it's like failing, making mistakes is part of the process. But so long as you try to show up every single day, that's what makes it so fun and so cool and such a fun life to live.
Mm-hmm. How do you think you are now? Do you think you've like changed since like your middle school self?
100 freaking percent. 100 freaking percent. And I still have moments where I'm like, I want to be different, right? There's a lot of things in myself that I know that I want to improve, right? And it goes back to me doing this buzzcut haircut, you know? Like there's a lot of things. Like right now, what I'm battling is that like, I want to be someone who is a podcaster. I want to be like a content creator. But I think like for the past 25 years, I have been teed up to work in a corporate environment. And it's like, it's weird because like it changes a lot of things that I previously wanted for myself to something that is like completely new. And so I feel like I'm starting all over in the sense of like, I have no experience editing videos. I have no experience making a podcast. I have no experience growing an audience. But like, this is something that I want to do, but I also don't look at it in a way where it's like, everything in the past was a freaking mistake. Like, I think I'm much more of that evolutionary mindset of like, no, I had to go through all of those things in order to reach to where I am now. Like, without all of those experience, I wouldn't feel so compelled to want to pursue what we're doing with Fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so like the way that I think about my life now is I think it's healthier, you know?
No, for sure. I would say the same thing about me too. I think like a year ago when I was so upset about not having enough emotional maturity, I would take like every time Ian or like any of my friends would be like, oh, I don't think you should say that. Or like, I feel like like just having an honest conversation about like how mature I am or like how I express my emotions, I would like take that with so much hate. But now I'm like, it's okay. That's like part of the learning experience. And I'm glad to hear it from these people who I love and appreciate rather than like a stranger. Like I'm glad that like anytime Ian is like, you know, maybe you should think of it in this way instead of that way, so you're not so negative or hard on yourself. I don't take it as him like confronting me and like, I don't know, like, how do you say it? Like scolding, you know? Like he's not scolding me. He's just like lovingly being like, hey, I think you could do this better. And I'm like, wow, that's so true. So I feel like now also with the evolution or like evolving mindset, I'm like, I needed those experiences, those confrontations for me to be the person I am now. And I'll experience way more of those confrontations, maybe with myself or other people. And then those will be experiences that will make me grow and become a better person.
Yeah, Joey and I are both still evolving, but now it feels different because our outlook feels different on how we change and how we view change. And we hope that you will feel that way and that you do feel that way now. Anyway, thank you for listening to our first episode on identity. Tune in next week when we talk about feeling lost. What?
Interesting topic.
For now, stay patient with yourself, stay kind to yourself, and remember that you are always growing, and that is something worth celebrating.
That's all for our episode today. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.